Hi everybody, I'm Stefan The All-In Nerd, and this is update number 3 for the Iron Man project. It's 259 days left to Comic-Con, so let's go! The suit is far from being finished, but since starting in the end of December, I've been putting a lot of time into it, and I'll show you how far I've come. First, let's check out the printers I'm using. They have been printing non-stop whenever I've been at home since I got them. And before starting this, I hadn't really printed anything bigger, so just that in itself had been and still is a learning experience. The printers I'm using is a Creality Ender 3 S1 Pro and a Creality CR10 Smart Pro. And to get some extra speed, I'm running them through Creality's Sonic Pad. And no, Creality is not sponsoring this video. If I would be working closer to home, I could have been printing more, I guess. But I don't really have a desk job, so it's kinda hard to combine. I've been going through quite a lot of filament. Each and one of these ones is 1 kilo of filament, so that's 12 kilos so far. And here's all the parts that I've printed. I kinda got surprised when I laid it all out. I didn't know it was this many pieces. And of course I would love to get it all painted as soon as possible, but I'm not gonna rush it. Sure, the paint job will be really satisfying, but there's so much work left getting it all fitted together. And with all the electronics that needs to be put in it, the risk of ruining a paint job is just too big. It's just not worth it. But speaking of electronics, I've been working my ass off with this arm missile for the right arm. To be honest, I didn't think it would take that much time. But I've been having a lot of fun making it though. And sure, it's been moments when I've been rage quitting and left it for the next day, but now I'm quite happy with it. To be clear, there was no guide on how to build this thing. The forearm was printed in one piece and I had to cut it apart with a soldering iron attached with a scalpel. And then deciding how to try to get it to work. After getting it into pieces, I needed to build a foundation so I could start to play around with some servos. And I couldn't find any good lever arms or brackets that would help me open and close the hatches. So I had to learn how to 3D model and design them myself. And Onshape is a really great program for this. It took a lot of trial and error to get it to a working stage. And after that it was the coding. And learning code is tricky. And when I finally got it to a working stage, I took it all apart again to put in another plastic sheet in the bottom, since the one I started out with looked more like a Swiss cheese from me shredding it. So it was back to more trial and error to get it working again. When I finally got it going again, I decided to design some pieces in Onshape that would make the interior look a bit more machine-like and hide the servos. After that I put in an LED and then I airbrushed it in a dark grey metallic. And here you can see how the interior turned out. And with every tweak I did, there was something else that got stuck or didn't really fit the way it should, so it was constant tweaking. But in the end, or yeah, right now at least, it's looking and working really good. Hopefully I won't need to do any more tweaking on it. I need to start focusing on other parts. Like right now I'm working on the helmet and the hands. The helmet is almost done, I've gotten the hinge system working and the code fixed for it as well. And this code was really doing my head in, but I got it working. I also connected and made the code for the LED eyes, but they're not mounted in the helmet just yet. Now I'm just waiting for some parts to arrive before I can put all the wires into the Arduino Nano. And that's the controller board that's gonna control the servos and the LEDs, and I'll have that attached in the back of the helmet. The first plan is to have a button somewhere in the helmet to open and close the faceplate while the eyes turn on and off. But later on I'm going to fix it so I'll control it just by putting my fingertips together using a reed switch and a magnet. But to get that sorted, I need to get the hands fixed. Here's a hand that I did a while ago. It's looking really good, but there's no way that I would be able to fit a glove and some wiring in here. Already now it's pinching my fingers. Sure, the fingers looked really good, but they weren't a great fit for what I needed, so I tried to find some other finger files. But what I should have done before even starting to print the fingers was to get the gloves fixed, so I would know what size I needed to print them in. That would have saved me a lot of filament. And here came a new problem. Well, it's not really a problem, more a matter of taste. Usually when you see an Iron Man cosplay, you see hands like this. A red or a black glove beneath the printed one. And sure, it looks alright, but here's how the actual Iron Man hand looks like. And since that is one of the normal action poses done by people cosplaying Iron Man, I would want it to look as accurate as possible. So I searched the internet with a magnifying glass, trying to find the perfect glove or some texture to add to the gloves I had, but it wasn't that easy. After quite some time I found some information about a guy using silicone. A product called Dragonskin 10 that he brushed on a textured plate and then sewed to a glove. So I decided to give that a shot. I could only order it straight from Smooth-On in Germany, and it wasn't cheap, so I really hoped that it would work. I ordered 1 kilo, which was the smallest amount, and a set of coloring pigments. And I'd never done any work with silicone before either, so this was also going to be a first. But I couldn't find any good texture plates to use with the silicone. So yet again, back to Onshape and designing my own plates. And then I got it printed with my resin printer, because I wanted it as smooth as possible. And on my first try, I poured the silicone straight into the resin mold. And that actually ended up not curing on the side facing the resin, and it was quite messy. But after that, I sprayed on a layer of primer to seal off the resin. And then the silicone would cure without any problems. Since the curing time for the silicone was about 5 hours, I decided to print some more texture plates. So it was time to make a bigger batch, and then adding the pigments to get the color that I think would work with the glove later on when it's painted. And the silicone came out great, and so flexible. After that it was time to bring out the needle and thread. And yet again, no real guides for this, so trial and error to see what works. And I got the right hand done now, so I can start to try to find the right sizes of the fingers. I did find a better file of the fingers. I modified them a little bit to better fit my fingers, and here's how it looks right now. It's not finished, but it's got potential. There's still a lot of work left on this, but for every test I do, every print I make, every trial and error I do, I get one step closer to the finish line. And even though it's quite long until November and Comic-Con, I'm starting to feel like the time goes a wee bit too fast for my liking. And guys, that would have to conclude the update for this time around. Keep your eyes open for some shorter content. Take care of yourself, and until next time.